here's what we're talking about. We're talking about market research, not just research. Remember in the last session, one of the things that we talked about is sometimes we can think things to death and we can research things to death and get down a rabbit hole of how many websites can I go to and find designs that I want to look at or information, and you find yourself in a place where either you can't make because you're overwhelmed with the amount of choices that you have and the amount of information that you have. The same thing can happen with our markets and our customers, but generally we do not have that problem. We haven't thought enough about our customer. We've thought way more about what we've made. So what we're going to do is look at some of the tools that are out there for you all to think about how to expand your market and how to understand who your customers are that you're serving now and who the customers might be that you want to serve in the future, and how that impacts your product, your business decisions is really a key. So there are really wonderful tools out there, and this is a small listing, and I'm going to show you some of them and what they have there. The National Governors Association, oddly, has really good trend information because, you know, states care about what industries are doing well in their states, so they try and study this stuff. There's actually a really great article about arts, culture, and design. So if you go to nga.org and look for that study, it's still out there. It's now a couple of years old, but it has really interesting data about how governors were imagining the creative economy growing in each of their states and what the implications should be for artists and for arts organizations. Research USA and IBIS World are I don't know what they are. They're databases of information that you can't get access to without going through a library. So they sell subscriptions essentially to libraries, and libraries then will give you access for free. IBIS World, the good news is IBIS World you can get through the SBDC here. IBIS World does national and international trend reports every year. So you can go to IBIS World, go to the SBDC, they'll give you access to IBIS World through there, and it's free. And you can get an industry report for crafts. Won't be as specific. You might have ceramics and you might have wood. You might have textiles. I'm guessing there isn't broom craft pulled out, but you all may have enough of a niche industry subculture going on, enough money is changing hands that they've done some work. They definitely have big national craft reports, and they compile all the data about how people are selling and how people are buying. So they have trends about galleries, they have trends about shows, craft shows, they have trends on e-com, they have trends on retail sales. And they have some good projections out. They identify, not unlike what we just did, the opportunities and threats that are out there. And because they're looking at the big national picture, they also identify for you the big players who are pushing markets in different ways. It's really pretty interesting stuff, and it's free. It's not going to change your life, but it's certainly worth looking at once just to see what these folks are looking at about our industry and how they're seeing us positioned. They have data about everybody, so if it helps to look at, you know, retail sales that is comparable or an indirect competitor with us, that's something to compare as well, because they have as many opportunities and threats as we do as well. But it's really good information. Research USA, we're now on a mission to get us access to it, because it is the organization that I love, only because it's creepy, and I think, wait, that's NGA. Oh, maybe I don't have it pulled up. Hold on. Well, let's do this one while we're here. But so Research USA is the one where you can dial in through your library, free the access if our library has it, which it doesn't. But what you're able to do is say, I want to know where all the women who are between 24 and 48 who knit, who have an income of $70,000 to $100,000, what zip codes are, how many people are in my zip codes in this area here. They will tell you how many women fit that profile. And you can buy the list if you want to communicate with those folks. Now, you don't have to, it's pretty amazing. I wouldn't recommend buying lists personally, but knowing the data can help you make decisions about where you're marketing. Where do you want to be spending your money, and where do you want to be wasting your time not? So if you know that this is hard to do in our area because we have one zip code. But if you wanted to segment out Lexington.
We got 4044 and 4003.
Yeah, but one of them's a fake out.
It's the college.
It's the college. So in Lexington.
They're the rich people. So
Well, in Lexington, knowing which zip code you want to spend your dollars in, or if you were imagining what store you want to be selling in, you want to know where the women between 24 and 48 who have 100 grand and who like to knit live, so that you can sell to them as close to their house as you possibly can get, because they're your market and you want to find them. So that data is possible to find. We'll figure out how to get you access to it. But if you go to researchusa.com, you can see they have videos up about how their system works, and you can watch the creepy video where they type in, I'd like to see all these people, and then you can compare the zip code with the income level, so you can see how each zip code plays out across. It's very interesting work, and a little bit creepy, but it's there, and that's one of those technology moments where it's like, okay, we can find our people.
Do you know right off the top of your head what the generic list like that, and what kind of money's involved?
I have no idea. No.
This depends on how many people are on the list.
Well, right.
And it depends on what they're giving you, whether they're giving you a mailing address or an email address, and I'm sure all of that plays into the price as well.
So how do people
yeah.
end up on that list?
Well, so
Is it gathering information
it's
from
gathering
others? Okay.
information from every aggregator on the
Yeah.
internet,
Yeah.
and they get sales data. They just start to ding all of this information.
time you
Because this is
purchase
big
something.
data that Tim was talking about.
Yeah,
You know.
search engine somewhere and-
It's that little pin that's in the back of your head.
Yeah,
What they're asking your zip
Right.
code when you buy something.
That's-
Chris, I will tell you that some of the lists that college used to rent were $14,000 a list and had so many names on, and they would isolate them based on, I've got the demographics. There was a firm out of New York City that did a demographic on the college and its products and everything. They could easily spend $40,000
Wow.
just on renting lists. You don't own the list, you just rent it.
you just read it.
Right.
It's ever changing.
Copy and paste.
Yeah.
I guess we could get through the SBA.
SBDC, yeah, the local small business development center here. Cindy, they're in Richmond, right?
Richmond, yes, at EKU, yes. Small Business Development Center.
Yes.
It's in Rainey.
They're nice. And Ibis World is what it's called. Here's another really great, this one's free unless you want to pay for more of their stuff, but Nielsen, remember the Nielsen ratings, all about how people watch television? They have segmented all of us into neat little categories, and I think they have, 35 or 36 different categories, so you can see, here's the upper crust people.
Wow.
This is, they're suburban, they're wealthy, they're millionaires, they're above average, they're over 65, they are generally without kids, they're homeowners, they own a Lexus, eat at Bonefish, shop at Chico's, follow men's tennis, and they visit Alaska. So
That's chilling.
those are just big generic pieces, but if you go and look down a little bit farther here, it's not on this one. Maybe it's on, can you see back in there? You can see the zip codes sort of popping out behind there. Though you can't really see
No,
it.
there is, no, it's Kentuckiana, it's Kentuckiana.
It's Kentuckiana. of it, not in
Yes.
Kansas.
There's none.
That's a disaster.
Maybe one in Louisville.
Yeah, Oldham.
Maybe.
Well, it's Oldham County.
Yeah.
That's what
Uh,
we
yeah.
get.
Can you show us the country style one? I'm curious.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
That would
let's
be the
go
whole
back.
city Kentucky.
With the what?
The Country
It
Squire.
was on there too.
Hold on, sorry.
Oh, Lord.
It was one that thought something
Oh,
break down to the pocket.
I could waste hours of my
Oh,
life
I
on
know.
this.
It
The
would be
wealthy middle-aged
way too
family mix
entertaining, but-
of Country Squires.
Oh.
They own a Volkswagen and eat at Dunkin' Donuts, it says.
Shops at Bobby Barn plays golf and stays
There
at
you go.
Spring Hill Suites. Oh, my God.
So they are made up of the social group of the landed gentry,
There's none in Kentucky
which includes, now you can see,
either. Wow.
the Big Fish, Small Pond, the First Frac families, and the new homesteaders. And you can see what their median income is,
Yeah.
96,522. But you can also see that there's 8,378,000 of them.
How much land do they have to own in that category? Or is that?
It's just.
It says they are wealthy Americans who migrated to smaller
bigger
towns
fish,
beyond the
consumer
nation's
electronic
beltways.
technology.
Boomer families and couples with college degrees, expansive homes, and professional jobs. I mean, these are some
Okay.
of your people here,
Wow.
right? So this is the kind of thing that I hope, Amy sort of mentioned this earlier, that to open your eyes and realize that just because we've marketed to right here doesn't mean that that is all we can sell to. And that there are people who are interested in what we make who we need to find and we need to connect with because we have what they want. They just don't know that we even exist. So imagining that bigger circle is a pretty cool thing to do. Here's another one. Think with Google. If you have, has anyone used Think with Google yet? Yes?
I've used it like a while back, but yes.
They have really good trend information that I think is easier to visualize a little bit.
That graph's all creepy.
That graph is creepy. Hang on, let me find where I was. So here's the sad, look at this. Look at the trends on Appalachian crafts.
But what did you punch in? I don't, I've never.
I typed in, to find out if there was trend data, this is about web searches for phrases, keywords.
These went on Google.
This is on Google.
Okay, so when you type.
When I type in Appalachian crafts up there, oh, you mean, this is called, thinkwithgoogle.com. But look at what comes up.
Try.
Nothing.
Southern Highlands craft.
What does it, hurry, your search doesn't have
Southern.
data to.
But I just typed it in Google and I got a bunch of places.
Yeah, but you're not,
Google
this isn't in
Trends.
Google, this is Google Trends.
Put pottery in.
Well, then you can put 'em.
Pottery's good. Maybe it has something.
Yep. Alright, so you have pottery. Now you can learn more about the regions that are interested. You can see what related topics are and queries are coming up when you type in pottery. So look at who comes up. Wayfair, Etsy's right there.
Wow.
So on Google, Think with Google, the tools that they have are pretty cool. They also have shopping insights, Google Trends. They have a planning calendar that talks about how seasonal retail trends are moving. So they have how to plan for spring, summer, winter, fall based on what retail sales are happening. And the final thing that they have down here is a consumer barometer. So these are all free. And, you know, again, not to encourage you to get obsessed with the data, but I think for all of us, realizing that there's so much more out there than we realize means that we need to do some research and figure out who we want to go after in order to imagine a different market and to imagine what business model we want to use. You know, do you want to be producing, do you want to be a production line? Or do you want to be designing unique pieces? Do you want to be wholesaling? All of those different pieces play into you deciding who your market is. So, does this give you some ideas about where you might want to spend some time in the future? Online? I hope so. I hope so. So the other, the other really good ones that you don't want to forget about are the government ones. They're easy to find. If you haven't been there, go. There's nothing sexy about their data, but it is solid data that you may want to know. Madison County Library has some resources. The SBDC has some here locally. But I encourage you to go jump into some of these websites, just even to overwhelm yourself a little bit and realize how much information is out there, and then calm down and, think about who you want to be marketing to and who you should be marketing to. So, one of the things that, we sort of talked about this, is understanding more about your current customers is also something that is probably worth doing. These same tools can be used for that as well. So you got sort of two tasks ahead of you. One is to understand more about who you're serving right now, because you want to get them to buy again, buy more, but also really pushing, particularly for us, I think in Berea and in the world that we live in, outside of the market that we have been serving for so long, because it has shifted. We know that we don't have as many people coming to Berea as used to come to Berea, because tourism has changed as time has moved on. We need to acknowledge that. We need to figure out how to get tourists here, which is certainly part of a strategy, but it also gives us an opportunity to acknowledge that we can market outside of here and do both of those things really effectively. So, does anybody have any questions about the research that's out there and realizing that you can go after segments and think about what they're looking for, what they're already buying? Because if you don't, then let's just get to work. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes, each of you individually, to work on what research you need to dig into to try and figure out, who am I supposed to be going after as a customer? What am I looking at? For each of you, it may be a different piece. If you look on page 12 and 13, you've got a whole list of a bunch of those research tools that we talked about and how you might use them best. And then on page 13, you've got an idea of coming up with a research goal. Try and figure out what you're trying to learn, because you can go in a million directions. So identifying what you're trying to learn, which goes back to that book that Tim has there on Freakonomics. If you don't know what you're trying to learn, you probably won't learn it. So try and figure out what you want to know before you get started. But 15 minutes. So where's that?